Hello and welcome to managersdoor.com webinar. My name is Samuel Day. I'm a director here, and you can see the agenda on the screen. We're planning to run our webinar for half an hour maximum. A topic for today is performance management, and you can see there item number 2. We'll run through an overview of some of the templates and models that you can use to better manage your people. Following that, on item 3, we will go and respond to questions from some of our gold members, followed by our silver members, and then we'll move to some of our live questions online. You'll notice on your GoToMeeting that there's an option for you to list your questions, so we'll come to those towards the end of today's meeting. If you do need to leave at any time, we are recording this webinar, so you're welcome to come back. We will post it up on managersdoor.com, and you can see some of the questions and responses at any time that suits you. If you're looking at our next webinar, we'll be announcing the date for our next webinar on Monday. So let's run through the performance management overview. I'm going to go across now to Manager's Door and sign in. And you may like to do the same. So once you've signed in, you'll go through to your home landing page. Just a quick note for you down the bottom of the page. I've signed in as a gold member here. Down the bottom you'll see some of our recent top 5s, which is great information to keep you on track each week. Of course, this week was turning bad stress into good health. You'll also see new categories and new topics that we've added on the right-hand side. So each time you sign in, just scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll notice some of the new information that you can go straight to. Okay, so over on the left, we're going to go over to performance management. Performance management is under the Managing Others topic, so clicking on Managing Others, I'm going to go here now to click on Performance Management, and we'll give you a quick 5-minute overview of some of the useful tools that you'll be able to find here. Now, working through each one of these, I think one of the things that you'll find really useful, particularly if you are looking to either improve your performance management systems, if you're in a large organisation, or implement a performance management system, I think you'll find in particular the templates very useful. What we've got here is we've got 2 templates for you. One is the performance appraisal, and the other one directly underneath is the performance plan. Part 2. Performance appraisal is obviously a reflection on the team member or employee's performance in a past given period. A great deal of time is spent on this, usually in performance reviews. One of the mistakes that I think some people make is that they spend too much time on reflection and not enough time on the planning. But we'll have a look at the plan in just a second. Okay. So you can see here, and I'll leave you to read through this just as I scroll down the page, there's a description of the template and each part for you. To download the template, all you need to do is either click on the image at the bottom of the screen, or you can click on the link. So I'm going to click on the link and open it up. And as that's opening, and you can see here that this is a Word document. Just now that that's opened, all you need to do, of course, is to click Enable Editing. You can change and manipulate this however you like. I'll quickly take you through each part of it because you can put in your own key performance indicators and so on. So you can see here that we've got checklists on this example, your employee's name, the position, the date of the review. There's also a rating system on the right-hand page here. ranging from exceeds expectations through to a new starter where maybe you're not rating them at all. In the summary section, this is where you place certain questions. You might say, how would you rate your overall performance for the year? Clicking down further, you can see that this is where you're able to align people's behaviours to the organisational values under the core values review. And then there's the core competencies. You can see here that we've listed add the competency. Some of the competencies that you might list there could be things around accuracy, they could be around presentation skills, whatever it might be. Scrolling down, this is where you can see the goals here, and this is on page 5. On page 5, this is where the goals would be from the previous year, and this is where you would apply your rating system, which you can see on the right-hand side of this table. Overall comments on the last part, and then of course final comments and sign-off. I'm going to take you back now to, and so just before I take you back to managersdoor.com and the performance management section, you'll see here that this template, all you need to do is click Enable Editing, and you can print it off, download it, and use it for any one of your team members. Okay, so taking you back to performance management, there's some really useful resources in here. Of course, one of the key components for performance management is to ensure that there's no surprises, and that means that throughout the life of the assessment period that there's fantastic coaching and feedback along the way. A couple of the things that we've got in here is some principles of effective communication, so I'll just bring that up. It's one of the models. And the other key template in here, which I think is really useful, is this ongoing dialogue throughout the life of the employee's employment. You'll see here that we've got a coaching conversation planner. This will help you in putting together a structured review on how to talk to your employees and coach them around improving their employment. So again, to open, simply clicking on the template, it will come up for you. It's in Word, and you'll notice that each one of the sections, when this comes up, will show you what it is that you need to do in each part. It's a process, the coaching planner, and you'll notice when this comes up on screen, which is a little slow today, that the right-hand column will describe to you what it is that you need to do. So as that comes up on screen, we have storms here today, so maybe that's affecting our download speed. We'll come back to that once that's uploaded. You can see an image here, and of course the process for coaching, which is described here, is plan, open, initiate, discover, develop, agree, and close. So giving you an overview of this topic, there are some very useful templates, some great models in here. You'll notice that there's DISC styles revealed. That'll have a look at different styles of people that you need to work with, how to build rapport throughout the process, and the performance management cycle. So I'm going to have a click on the model of performance management cycle. And you can see it here. So the goal setting and planning is where you start planning for the future period ahead. Usually it's 12 months. Probably performance reviews are best done at 6 months. Continuous feedback and coaching needs to happen between the performance review and then, of course, appraisal and reward, and that is rewarding the behaviours that you want to see more of. Okay, from a time perspective, I'll leave you to have a look through this topic and download some of your templates so that you can implement them. What we'll do now is we will go back and start answering some of our questions from our members. So our first member is from our Gold member. This is from Chun. He's in Hong Kong. Chun, thanks for joining and being a Gold member. You'll be able to download all of those templates, and of course when you in any one of your executive coaching sessions, then please talk with one of your coaches about any of these topics. But thank you for submitting this question. This question is outside of performance management. This is around project management, and Chun has said that he is currently working with a client who is demanding. They keep changing their mind on their projects. Look, I think what happens throughout projects is that through a process of project realisation, as it's called, people will find out that all of a sudden they've come up with a great idea that they hadn't thought of before at the beginning of the project. I don't know if anybody has ever built a house or renovated, but halfway through the renovation you might have an idea to hang a door a different way. So this is the kind of things that clients will do, is that as they realise what's happening in the project, they'll start to come up with other ideas. So let's go back now to Manager's Door. And I'm going to take you over. We're now going to have a look at project management. And Chun, I think you'll find this particularly useful. Project management is under managing the business. There's some really useful tools here, so I'm going to go down now and click on on project management, not proposal loan, to help Chun answer his question. Often what happens in project management is that there's not a clear project plan. So if you have a look here on the model, there's a model for the project plan, which I've just clicked on. Here it is here. That's all the things that need to go into a project plan. So to help you out, Chun, what I would suggest is that you get really clear with your client on what the roles and responsibilities are of each stakeholder in the project, and get very clear on the objectives. The other part that will help you out is defining what the deliverables are, and making sure that these have been defined right up front. Now, I can't see what your project is here, Chun, that you're delivering for your client, but what I would suggest to you, to give you an example of deliverables, is if you're producing a book, then you're very clear on what it is that you're actually handing over. So you may be handing over 2,000 books, which are 200 pages each, with a cover jacket, including design. If it's out of design, where maybe the client's changing the scope of the design of the book, excuse me, then you would need to list that on the scope as being out of scope. To give you a really good structure for this, you'll find a template for it, and here it is here. So this is the template here. Again, to download it, just click on the link and it will download for you. You know, there's two schools of thought here, and that is, do I give the project plan to the client, and do I not give the project plan to the client? We would always suggest giving the project plan to the client so that you can calibrate expectations around what's expected, what's going to be delivered, and what is not going to be delivered. The other thing that I think is really useful here for you, Chun, is around this change requests. So once the project plan's been signed off, then if a client has a change request, then you ask them to fill out the request. Now, without being bureaucratic, what it does is it keeps a really nice record of the change in the project, so anybody coming onto the project can work it out later. That's two areas, Chun, that I think would be really useful for you. If you've got any other questions, please talk to your executive coach. Let's now move to a question here from one of our silver members. And we have a question here from Tuk, who's in Indonesia. The question that Tuk has got and has submitted before our webinar today, thank you, Tuk, is that you have staff who aren't coming into work because they're too busy getting food for their family for breakfast. You know, it's a really interesting question that you ask. It's certainly not a common question that we find in Australia or New Zealand or in other countries that we've consulted. But for you in a nation that's developing so rapidly, it is a significant question. There's a few different areas that I'd refer you to be able to manage this, and so I'll take you back to Manager's Door, and so there'll be, and look at some of the resources for you. Two things that I'd have a look at is I would have a look at the feedback section, which is under Managing Others. If you haven't had the opportunity to sit down and talk to them, then that's a really important part. So you'd need to be able to provide them with effective feedback, which is here under Providing Feedback. And what we've included here for you is a really nice structure to be able to give feedback. So, clicking on some of the rules for feedback, what I'd say to Talk is make sure that when you are giving feedback that you're able to, that the feedback relates to the performance improvement, that it's timely. In other words, I wouldn't let this go on. I'd be honest and sincere and, of course, manage the person's self-esteem because they're dealing with a very real issue. It needs to be in their control, conversational and two-way, and I'd be very specific about the person who isn't arriving on time for work. But the question then becomes, how do you structure that feedback? So let's now have a look at a template for providing feedback. And how do you go about it? There's some fantastic examples here of the different types of feedback. And there's so negative statements and then positive empowering statements. People are more likely to respond when you give them positive empowering statements. Okay, let's have a look at the model for UTalk on how to give feedback. And the structure that we've got here for you is to state your intent, provide some evidence, what the result is and what you'd like to see done in the future. So for somebody who's not coming to work on time, your intent could be something like, let's say you have a retail shop or a stall. Your intent would be, when you're giving the feedback, I really would like to open up our shop on time. The evidence is I've noticed that when we're due to open the shop at 10 o'clock, I've seen you arriving at 10:30. The result is we've got customers waiting outside, and this is impacting our sales and impacting our revenue for the business. And in future, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to arrive on time. So there's a structure for you. Of course, the flip side is, what is it that you could do to be able to help that employee? Now, I'm not sure what's in your control, what you're able to do, but if it's around food, maybe it is about providing this employee with food to take home the night before, or giving them the opportunity or the time the day before to be able to get food to take home for their family. I think you could also find that that's a really useful reward system. Talk, you're a silver member, so we'd be very keen to hear how you go about that. So what I'd like you to do is to please let us know how you go with that. And if you have any more questions, please send through your questions to Ask an Expert, which of course you'll find always on the left-hand side, so underneath your silver membership, just there. And I'll just highlight that for you if you haven't seen the Ask an Expert as yet. Just pop your question in there. Okay, we do have a couple of questions. We have some questions now from our bronze members, and we also have some online questions. I'm just going to bring those up. Okay. All right, so I've got some of those questions up here at the moment. One of the questions is in relation to managing bad stress. So let's have a look at, which follows on nicely from our top 5 that was delivered this week. So let's quickly now go and have a look at stress management. There's some really useful tools here under stress management. One of the areas that I think would help you is on the top 5 from this week. Which is how to turn bad stress into good health. So let's go and have a look at this topic. So this was released on Monday. Your top 5s will always go out to you on a Monday. I think the top 5 for this week is a fantastic top 5 because it helps you keep focused. I guess if you're dealing with stress, one of the key things that we would suggest is don't run. And that is, have a look at how you can find a solution for a problem. Of course, stress comes when there aren't options, and when you're looking at solutions, probably it's best to have a look at a couple of options, so if one doesn't work, then the other one can. Work-life balance is an important part for everybody. Considering a break and getting downtime is important. One of the things that we find through executive coaching with our Gold members is that we find that exercise is a really important way to de-stress. And I love this quote here that's been included. So stress occurs when we perceive something as threatening and believe we don't have what it takes to cope with it. We can change how we respond to stress by changing those perceptions or beliefs. And so it then becomes a really interesting prospect, doesn't it, as to whether stress is something that is by choice and how we respond to the external environment. I'm conscious of time. I think that's all we've got for questions for today that we have time for. We will post this up online, so if you're looking to have a review of anything that we've done, we will post it up online and you'll be able to come back and watch it or view it at any point in the future. Thanks for joining us today, everybody, at managersdoor.com. On Monday, we'll release the next date for our webinar. Please submit your questions. We will get to as many questions as we possibly can. As you access each of the models and templates, then you'll have many of the answers that you need. Again, thanks for joining us. Have a lovely weekend.